200 sandwiches on Thanksgiving. Here's a question for you, for every aspect of your life, really. How can I make this more meaningful and more memorable? Thanksgiving, 200 sandwiches. But this applies whether you're a parent or a CEO of a company or you're a teenager. It applies if you're a teacher. It applies to so many aspects of our lives. A few years ago, I was doing a leadership program with a group of teenagers, and I started asking that question: how do I make this more meaningful and more memorable? Right? Because you can do the class, right? You can coach the sport. You can have the meeting. You can have Thanksgiving. And it can be meaningful and memorable, yes. But that question, how do I make it more meaningful and more memorable? I started asking that question about this leadership program, and I thought, you know what I'll do? I'll invite each kid to teach a little part of the class, the series, the workshop. It was really a series. And we'd get together every single week. I have each kid get about 15 minutes, a block, and I'll give them some prep time where they get to teach with one of their family members. You know, it could be a parent, could be a sibling, could be an aunt or an uncle, could be a close family friend, really could be a neighbor too, could be a close friend, I guess. But this one young man brings his father, and it was right before Thanksgiving. And we're talking about one of the pillars of leadership, but really one of the pillars of life. And the father and the son tell this story about Thanksgiving. They said one of the things we do over Thanksgiving is Thanksgiving night. You know, after we've eaten, we've feasted, you know, and we've had time with family, and we've had dessert, and we've had conversation, and, you know, whatever it is you do on a holiday like Thanksgiving. Maybe watch the games. They said after all that, we sit down and we make 200 sandwiches. 200 sandwiches. He said we make them as a family, you know, every single year on Thanksgiving. And then we hop in the car and we drive down to New York City. This family lived maybe, 40 minutes north of New York City. And they said we drive down with the 200 sandwiches, and there's a spot we usually go, and we stop in a poorer neighborhood, and we open the back of the car, and we take out this, I think it was a big kind of Tupperware tub or cooler. We take out the sandwiches, and maybe it was more than one, probably more than one. We take out the sandwiches, and we start to hand them out to people who are hungry and cold and lonely, and to people who didn't have the Thanksgiving feast that we did. This is what the father says. And I look at the father and I look at the son, and I look around the room at the other kids. And this son, you could tell he had this kind of this moment of, I don't tell a lot of people about that. But from the response he saw, I think, on his peers' faces, I think he realized that maybe you should tell more people about that, because this group of kids were looking, and they were transformed in the way they saw what might be possible. I think they were transformed in the way they saw what real thankfulness, what real gratitude, what real generosity can look like. It's such a simple question. How can I make this Thanksgiving? How can I make this weekend with my family? How can I make this meeting or this client or customer or patient interaction? How can I make this practice, basketball, soccer, baseball? How can I make this more meaningful and more memorable? And by the way, you could steal this idea and make some sandwiches on Thanksgiving night to give away.